Hey everybody, this is Mike with Free Roaming Hiker, and I am in the Red Hills of the Gros Ventres, which is a little past Slide Lake, east of Jackson Hole in Grand Teton National Park. So it's a little more on the obscure remote hikes, but it is a beautiful hike and takes you up to the Lavender Hills. It is a strenuous hike, but provides some great views. So show those off when we get to them. And it's called the Red Hills because there are basically red hills. It's a big sandstone layer that was deposited from the early shallow sea that was here about 50 million years ago, and left these really beautiful sandstone hills. So we're gonna go hike up and see what we find. So this trail does get a little overgrown. It's not a popular hike. You get some locals out here doing it every now and then, but not many tourists, and that's because this area gets overshadowed by Grand Teton National Park. It's a little out of the way. It is, like I said, east of Grand Teton National Park. So you have to go out Gros Ventre Road to the east, go past Slide Lake where the pavement ends, and it's even another 10 minutes or so beyond that. So it doesn't get a ton of traffic. So you will see some vegetation. Also, like everywhere out here, it is grizzly bear habitat. So always have bear spray ready and know how to use it. And yeah, right now just ascending up this drainage, and obviously it's capped by the Red Hills and a lot of sagebrush and willows, aspens, things like that down in the base. So we'll keep going up. And just real quick, if you are enjoying this video, please like and subscribe. I appreciate every little bit. It always helps. And it is definitely appreciated. If you have any questions, leave them down below and I'll always answer. And then if you are wondering about the fall colors, in terms of time of year, it is mid-September right now. And the fall colors are really just starting to pop. So they'll get better as the month goes on. Usually the peak of fall here is late September, early October. But they definitely get started a few weeks early and just get better and better from there. All right, some thick willows, so I'm gonna keep going. The trail itself is pretty consistently climbing. There haven't been a whole lot of level or smooth spots. It's been a pretty consistent uphill climb, and it's been probably over a decade since I've done this hike, but I do remember there is another steep and strenuous climb as we get to the back of the canyon. So it is actually right now getting a little bit steeper, I'm not sure if this is going to be consistent or just for right now. Ooh, just going up. So it has gotten steep. I am catching my breath right now at this pretty great view, and not much in terms of the trail has changed other than that it's gotten steeper, and it looks like it's continuing to go up. So not much of a break, but also something to be aware of, there's no water here. So plan on doing this hike, make sure you have enough water and be prepared. It is strenuous and you're not going to find any more water up here. In terms of mileage, I believe it's close to about 2 miles one way. Once I get to the end and I've logged my route, I will let you know what the actual mileage is. But for now, I'm just going to keep heading upward. As you can see, there's not a whole lot of red left in these hills. We are getting pretty close to the top. There's definitely a saddle up there, or it's another false summit, but pretty great view back there. For those familiar with Jackson Hole, that right back there is the backside of Sheep Mountain, aka the Sleeping Indian. So definitely gaining some elevation, and rather quickly, I might add. And this whole back of the canyon is getting a little more exposed and barren, but it should lead to some pretty good stuff right up here. We're not too much farther back. Okay, so I did reach the saddle. It was a a little breezy over there. It might also be a little breezy here. So I'll try and talk above the wind, but you can see some pretty stunning views back there. This is overlooking the Crystal Creek drainage in the Gros Ventre Mountains. And it's really pretty spot. And then farther back there, those are the Lavender Hills climbing up above the Red Hills. And to reach this spot, I took a right at the saddle, which I think I just mentioned, which is not part of the official trail, but it's a little spur that leads off to this little overlook, which is pretty spectacular. If you are interested in backpacking, there are a couple of spots that are doable. But be aware, this is not only grizzly bear habitat, it is also mountain lion habitat. This is a pretty dense mountain lion area, so definitely be cautious and use a lot of good judgment if you decide to come stay back here for the night. But all things considered, still really pretty. Back at the saddle, if you didn't want to come to the spur for some reason, you would make a left where it keeps climbing up the hills, which is what we're going to go do. As you can see, the trail disappears in a couple of spots. It is also quite steep in this section, going pretty much straight up this hill. So, yeah, once you get to the saddle, the climbing is not done. There's still a lot more, and it's steep, and of course it helps to have good route finding skills because, as you saw, the trail will disappear. This climb is brutal. I think we're getting close. Okay, so I have reached the vantage point I was looking for. Obviously, pretty stunning. That is Slide Lake down there below with the Tetons overhead, and of course more red hills in the foreground. It's a pretty spectacular view. Not one that's easy to achieve, but also not one you see everywhere. So I'm trying to account for the wind. Definitely worth the effort if you want to make the effort. It is a beautiful view and probably one you're going to have the whole trail to yourself for. And I clocked pretty much 2 miles even. The trail does continue up this little ridge for a little bit. I only found a nicer view of the Lavender Hills right back there. Kind of had a nice overlook looking down into Crystal Creek drainage. But yeah, very strenuous, no water, be prepared for that, but great view of the Tetons and the surrounding landscape. So yeah, I'm gonna call it a hike. The trail, as you keep going up, maybe it keeps going. A lot of these trails do continue on for dozens of miles. So this one might pick up back there, but it looked like it was disappearing. So obviously this is more considered a destination for a lot of people. But yeah, if you like this video, please like and subscribe. And any questions or comments, leave them down below. I'm happy to answer. And thanks for watching. Happy trails.